A very good evening to every one of you. Welcome to the launch of the book, The Monks and Monkeys. On behalf of Venerable Ananda, let me thank every one of you for accepting his invitation and finding time to be here today. And one day I asked Mr. Anathunga, it will be an interesting thing to do to capture some of the stories of Venerable Ananda and bring it into a book. He said, yeah, it's an interesting idea, because he also used to meet him and come to his meditation programs. And he invited two of his partners in these projects that he usually does. Mr. Sarath Perera, one of the veteran photographers that we can find today, one of the finest, and Mr. Somachandra Peris, or we call him Ruan Peris, a very senior art director. And so Venerable Ananda used to get on Skype and tell these stories to Mr. Anathunga. And Sarath and Ruan were thinking how to put it into pictures. And they were trying to get as many pictures as possible, but Sarath was never happy with what he managed to get. He needed to get more. And in between, Hamudru fell sick very badly, and with all these things it got delayed, but finally it happened. So I invite Sarath and Ruan to present formally a copy of the book to the Venerable Ananda. The books are here, Sarath and Ruan. The book is formally launched. I invite Professor Asanga Tilakaratne to give an introduction to the book. He also knows Venerable Ananda, I think, almost 40 years plus.
It's a pleasure to be standing here and speaking about Venerable Ananda, for I think I have known him from mid-70s, almost after he was ordained. So although we were not frequent associates, but I have been knowing him for this long time. Very interesting, because when you see someone as a monk as a traveling person, now we know that monks are supposed to be anagarika, that means they do not have a house, which means that doesn't mean that they don't have a roof over their head.
Professor J.V. Disanayaka to deliver his speech.
Nelson Mandela, who once said, if you speak to somebody in another man's tongue, it goes to his head. If you speak to him in his own language, it goes to his heart. So let me try both. Let me try to get your head as well as your heart. I'll talk about Olande, I'll talk about Ananda, I'll talk about Hamudru separately, and put the three together and talk about Olande, Ananda, Hamudru. Holland. And the people of Holland are called Landesi. Olandesi. From Holland, Olandesi. We drop the O and say Landesi. Later with they and say Lansi. Keep on dropping part of it. Begin with Olandesi, Landesi, now end with Lansi. So Lansi comes from Holland. Of course, our Lansi have two roots back. It really should come from Holland. The Dutch burger, union still there. Normally, we look at the colonial masters as people who really ruined us. But here, we can pay tribute to them for helping us to save our own religion. Ape agama, බේරගන්න උපසම්පදාව නැවත ගේන්න සංදේශයක් වහම සියමට උදව් වුණේ නැව් දෙකක් තුනක් දීලා ඕලන්දේ පිටසයි. එක සැරයක් අන්තිමට ගියේ විල්බා ගෙදර රාළ කියලා කෙනෙක්. The head of the delegation that went to Holland, went to Thailand at that time to Ayutthaya, which was the capital at that time. The head of the delegation was a man from Kurunagala called Vilbave Gidarala.
In this book, you will find that at some place it says about a young man who put another young man to the right bus. When Rudy Hammelberg came to Sri Lanka through a series of coincidences, which is very well captured in the book, that is his lay name, and there's another Rudy in the audience from Holland, and there was this young person whom he met at the station and asked how to go to the Pagoda temple. Then in the same evening, he finds the same person, Honorable Governor of the Southern Province, Mr. Hemakumara Nanayakara.
A handsome, tall young man came towards the bus halt. He came and asked me, Deepal, he never asked me how to go to Pagoda temple. He asked me how to go to Pagoda temple. I was confused. Then I asked him, where do you want to go? Then he explained to me. I said, bus number 114 coming from Bollagala through Peta, and it goes to Pagoda. That was all. I thought I wouldn't meet him again. But in the same evening, I went to the Pagoda temple, which was headed by Mahanayaka Dawuldenya ஞானேஸ்வர Thero, to get 2 Buddhist monks to take them to the hospital to chant some pirit for my father, who was in sick bed. Karagahat Ulpata Sugatananda Hamdru was in that temple, and Lunwatte Jnanananda Hamdru was in that temple. I can't remember who the 2 priests were, but I took 2 priests to the hospital. When I went there to take these 2 Buddhist monks to the hospital, that tall, handsome young man was there in the temple. Not like now, he had a long beard. Long dark beard and short hair. He wore a dress something similar to our national dress and a shawl, not around the neck, but I think it was kind of a large handkerchief on his, this thing like a patkade. Then he asked me, oh, you're the person who showed me the way to this temple. I said, yes. Then he said, I'm Rudolf Hammelberg. I said, I'm Hema Nanayakara. Then we became friends. Thereafter, he thought he's going to stay in Pagoda temple and study Dhamma. Rudolf Hammelberg, we used to call him Rudy, was a frequent visitor at our place in Sarsavi Udyane. He used to come there, have long chats with us, myself, my brothers, sisters, everyone. And most of the time, we used to invite him to have dinner with us. He used to have dinner, and he used to play the piano beautifully well. I remember, Hamdurane, if you remember, you played the piano very well. Tulips from Amsterdam, that was the song that he played, that's right. Then, when he decided to become a monk, there got to be a foster mother. And my mother had the great fortune of becoming his foster mother. And Hamunduro, Olande Ananda Hamunduro became a monk. got the higher ordination. He was in different places in Sri Lanka, in ashrams, in aranyas, and also in temples. Frequently he visited his home, and once I remember his father and mother, Mr. and Mrs. Hammelberg, came and stayed at our place with my mother. And again on another trip, I think Ananda Hamduro took my mother, accompanied my mother to Holland, and Mr. and Mrs. Hammelberg, Hamduro's parents, took my mother to various places in Holland, to France, and many, many other destinations.
Honorable Karu Jayasuriya, when he was ambassador in Germany, we were taking part in that interreligious dialogue, and we had the chance of having our Urdu lunch, I think, at his place. So over to you to recall a few of his associations.
I remember in the early 90s, when I was serving in the Bonn embassy, one day my one of the staff members said, "Sinhala katha karana sudu hamduru namak avilla innu." And that was our first meeting. And thereafter, of course, I had also fortune of offering in arms. And ever since, we have been, of course, I had the highest respect. I developed a respect and liking for him, affection for him. And I continued this association. I'm very privileged and honored for that association. Venerable Ananda Thero was born in Amsterdam in 1948 and was ordained as a monk in Sri Lanka on the 21st September 1975 by the Most Venerable Jnanishara Mahanayaka Thero. And before he, of course, a lot has been said about the eminent speakers before me, so I don't want to go dwell at length about his the career as such. But I know that he familiarized himself with Hinduism, yoga, meditation in India, and armed with a bachelor's degree in economics and sociology from the University of Amsterdam. He arrived in Sri Lanka and made his way to the temple of his future Guru at Pagoda, as mentioned by Dr. M. Kumarananayakara and also Professor J.B.
Finally, to bring this evening to a close, may I please invite Venerable Olande Ananda.
All your venerables and honorables and other distinguished guests. I would like to mention the origin of my name, actually, because I should have been called Amsterdam Vajrajyoti, actually. That is the name that I chose when my teacher, Most Venerable Dawaldina Jnanishara, he was not yet Mahanayaka Hamdru. At that time, we called him Pandita Hamdru, when he was 60 years old, and I was 27. He became 102 last year when he passed away. And now I'm 70, so time has passed. But that time, he gave me the choice to choose a name. And I had met some monk who's got that name, Vajrajyoti, which means actually the jewel in the diamond, or rather the light in the diamond. And I thought that was an inspirational name, but then Vajrajyoti, my teacher said nobody in Europe will be able to pronounce that. Even the word Ananda and Olande, also they say Olande Ananda. So never mind, what's in the name after all? But in this case, of course, Olande, it comes actually from the Portuguese, Spanish, Olanda. And because the Portuguese were here before the Dutch, the word Olanda was already known, as you may definitely know, Professor J.B. Diskanayake, and that it probably was adopted by the Sinhalese people after the Portuguese left and the Dutch came, and they didn't call them Nederlanders or something like that. So, or Hollanders, which we call ourselves. The word Dutch also is not really a Dutch word, it's an English word for the Dutch. So anyway, just to explain very briefly, last but not least, the monks and monkeys. I spent 12 years in a aranya, or a forest monastery, very close to Vasudeva and Hemkumar's brother's estate, actually, for actually my 12 years from 1985 to 1997. And there I was living amongst the monkeys. There were some monks, but there were more monkeys. And I must say I have got very good memories of the monkeys. Not that I have bad memories of the monks, but I must say the monkeys definitely, since maybe they don't have this, not enough brain to be cunning, you see, or whatever it is, they're quite innocent. So we had a good rapport. And that's why I thought I should also mention the monkeys, that and unfortunately they're losing more and more of their natural habitat. So I think we should try to preserve that as well. And also that the book may be also inspiring for some young people and even young monks to go more the spiritual path and not so much the traditional and ceremonial path in Buddhism, because that is what it seems in the young people and in the new generation is more attractive about any religion, whether it is Buddhism or Christianity or Hinduism or Islam. The spirituality of it is what actually transcends the differences. And that is what we have also learned in our interreligious dialogues. The movement came more from learning and teaching to coming together for common meditation and prayer, and that is where we found the commonality, and that's where we found how we can live together with differences. Not that we have to say everything's the same, but it can be different, that you have yours, we have ours, and we can live together. So wish you all the best and the blessings of the Triple Gem. Thiruvan Saranai.
වැඩමකර මහා සංඝරත්නයට නැවත වතාවත් දෙපා නැමෙද ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. To all the ladies and gentlemen who came here on time and spent your time, thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.